Hello, this is Greenplum Data Flow team. Today I'm going to introduce one of the main features in Greenplum release 6.22, which is LDAP authentication in PG Bouncer. First, let's take a look at problems that our customers are facing before this feature. A lot of users log into GPDB through LDAP authentication, and they also use PG LDAP sync to synchronize users and groups from LDAP server to GPDB. But most of the users have the need to use PG Bouncer as the default PAM authentication way of using LDAP authentication in PG Bouncer is nearly impossible to use. So customers have to use PG Bouncer in the following way. They have to configure the connections between clients and PG Bouncer as password authentication, which relies on the auth file in PG Bouncer configuration. And they also configure the connections between PG Bouncer and the GPDB as LDAP authentication. In this way, when user want to use PG LDAP sync tool, and they cannot sync the auth file, which is the configuration in PG Bouncer. So it is impossible for users to use PG Bouncer, LDAP authentication, and PG LDAP sync tool at the same time. The new release of Greenplum 6.22 will publish a new version of PG Bouncer, which supports a better way for users to use LDAP authentication in PG Bouncer. This version enables user to set the connections between clients and the PG Bouncer as LDAP authentication, and we just use set the connections between PG Bouncer and the GPDB as trust. If you do not set the connections as trust, maybe you want to set them as MD5, Scrum shard, or password. There's a limitation that the password in LDAP server of one user must keep the same as the password when it is created. But if you set the connections between PG Bouncer and connection and the GPDB as trust, there is no such limitation. So when user want to use PG LDAP sync tool, nothing will be changed. The information between LDAP server and the GPDB can be synchronized perfectly, automatically. In order to use LDAP authentication, you need to configure two parts. The first part is in PG Bouncer. You need to configure pgbouncer.ini file, which is the main configuration file of PG Bouncer. You need to set the auth type to HBA. You need to specify the auth HBA file name. And also, you need to specify the content of the HBA file. Here is the organization tree that we have created before. In order to log in as a leaf node, we have to set the conf like this. And the second part is at the Greenplum side. We have to set the pghba.conf in GPDB. Here, for simplicity, we just set all users log in as trust. But in production environment, you need to set the IP part to the PG Bouncer host IP. Okay, let's start our demo. Let's start our PG Bouncer daemon first. Before starting, let's take a look at the PG Bouncer configuration. The selected lines are the basic configurations for PG Bouncer. The first line specifies the port and the host name for Greenplum, and the next two files is needed for PG Bouncer daemon. And then these two are specified for PG Bouncer listen address and listen port. And then we have to set the auth type to HBA and set auth HBA file to a name. And we set the name to hba.conf. Let's take a look what's inside this file. Here is just the same as the example that we have listed before. Okay, let's start the PG Bouncer daemon. And then take a look at the configurations at the Greenplum side. We just configure all users login as trust. So now we try to log in into Greenplum through PG Bouncer. So we set the port to 6432, and we want to log in as OU user 1. And the database name is Postgres. And we enter the password. Cool. Successful login and simple query. Okay, correct. And here we can also log into the PG Bouncer the main console to see the connections. We can see in this pool there is one active client connection and one server connection. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching and hope you can try out this feature and share your feedbacks to us. Thank you.